Namaste, dear listeners. Welcome to the AIWA channel, Astro with Abhi, Oneness in Astrology and Spirituality, bringing in awareness by Abhi. We're going to talk about religion versus spirituality. I get this question all the time. Abhi, what is the difference between religion and spirituality? So, you've heard me say this many times in my life. I'm a spiritualist, a spiritual person who is a spiritualist. Now, what is spirituality? Spirit, coming from the word spirit. That is you and I, spirit. So we are spirit. So what is spirituality? For me personally, this is bringing in awareness by Abhi. So I'm going to talk based on my awareness, the differences between religion and spirituality. So the question wasn't to describe both, but the question itself is asking Abhi, why are you a spiritualist and why are you not religious? Why you're not religious? So, look, I was born into religion and I found my answers through religion, but I reached like a plateau. And from there, none of my questions could be answered. But so I'm going to go dive into it. When you tell people you are spiritual but not religious, it's often greeted with like a confused face. So people tend to think of spirituality as something very strange, something very mysterious. Sometimes they even struggle to differentiate it from religion, but this is only because people in modern day society have a fear of being manipulated and have a lack of knowledge when it comes to non-material subjects. How I see it, the truth of the matter is that spirituality is perhaps the most natural thing there is. For me, spirituality is natural to the core. It is simply your own conscious self recognizing that you are more than just a body, that you are a soul with infinite potential. So, religion is a path to source or God, and spirituality is also a path to source and God. However, they both have different approaches. And I'm going to talk about both, bearing in mind that I was born into religion. So, the very essence of religion, fear God and obey God. And the essence of spirituality is love God and become a divine representation of the Creator. That's how I like to describe the difference. In religion, respect God, fear God, obey His instructions. In spirituality, how I see it, it's becoming love. Becoming love to then understand the source and becoming one with. There are many differences between religion and spirituality. First point I'd like to talk about is experience versus belief. Now, religion usually entails adhering to a certain dogma or belief system. Spirituality places little importance on intellectual beliefs, but rather concerned with growing into and experiencing the divine consciousness. Therefore, you'll always hear me saying, if it's not within my experience, I'm not bothered about it. I'm always concerned about what's within my experience. Now, as a spiritualist, there's no, I wouldn't believe in something. I'm not a believer. It has to be within my experience. And there's various ways you can attain different experiences, which we'll talk about in different podcasts. But that's point number one, experience versus belief. Belief is religious experience. Having an experience is spirituality. You'll always hear me saying, how can you unknow what you already know? But your beliefs can always change. So in religion, your beliefs can also always change. But in spirituality, once you've experienced something, how can you change that? Now, the second point I'd like to talk about is fear versus love. Now, often you'll hear religious people approaching God with fear or fearing God. So, religion is often concerned with sin, guilt, and a concept of a God who punishes. Now, as a spiritualist, I would describe this approach to God, or the spiritual approach to God is through the path of love, or love itself is the quality of source or God. This is a love where there is no judgment, only acceptance. So spirituality feels um, so-called so-called sins are really just ignorance based on a false belief of who we are. So that's how I personally feel, and this is more of a knowing and not a belief that you know this is just limiting beliefs. Fear versus love spiritual, fear religious. Point number three, where is God? Religion talks of God as being high in the heavens, up in the skies. At times, God can seem far from the reach of anybody or aspiring human race. Now, from the spiritual front, you can see that God is omniscient, omnipresent, and can be felt as a living presence in the heart. Spirituality, it says me there is no separation between creator and creation. For creator and creation is a happening. Why must there be a creator? Why can't it just be a happening all the time? You see, this is how I see it. Point number four, one true religion versus universality. Many followers of religion feel that only their part can lead to salvation. You see a man in a white country. Oh, my God is the main God. You see a God in Africa, oh, it's my God that's the main God. God, person in India, it's my God that's the main God, and your God is not. So, one true religion versus universality. Many followers of religion feel that only their part can lead to salvation. So they have tremendous faith in their own religion. You'll see this. But at the same time, they feel other religions are wrong. Therefore, they can feel a necessity to convert others to their faith. And spiritual people are religious, but all religious people are not spiritual. So I'd like to describe myself as a religious person, but I'm spiritual. So I harness what I can from religion and I continue from there as a spiritualist. There's nothing more toxic to your soul or dangerous to your development as a person to believe in something that is wrong, misguided, and outdated. So, what I'm talking about here specifically is religion. Now, I want to be clear on this. I'm not talking about religious texts necessarily, or God, or Christ, or Buddha, or Krishna, or any of the wisdom contained within these religions. I'm talking about the religious fundamentalism as it currently exists. There is a difference between having a personal relationship with God and being buried head deep in religious dogma and spiritual ignorance. So, whilst I can say I'm a religious person, I can also then say from there, I'm a spiritualist. I have grown out of religion, but from religion out of religion. But religion is grown out of spirituality. As above, so below, as below, so above. For example, religion is, oh, this person has come through, he has led a life, he has shown the way, he has demonstrated the way, he's led the way, we got to follow the way. Now, a certain person has done this, and then a group of people have now created some kind of religion. But this particular being, whether it's all these enlightened beings that came through, they never preached a religion. They preached a way, a scientific approach towards peace, towards a better life, towards attaining higher dimensions of consciousness. What people went and did was they went and rewrote the things. They went and misinterpreted it, and they have created a religion out of this here that you must follow the person in what he's saying. You must follow the person. There is no difference from the person and the qualities of the person, yes, But when that has been twisted, it becomes very difficult to find peace. Why? Because man has interpreted things in his own way. Therefore, whilst we can attain peace from religion, but do remember that this is not the end all and be all. For me personally, religion and spirituality, they do go hand in hand. For religion is born out of spirituality, and religion goes back into spirituality. So even though religion was born out of spirituality, it dies back into spirituality. This is how I like to describe it. And the way to oneness or source, yes, both is possible. Both is possible. But the difference is, if you look at it, you are not limiting yourself on the spiritual path. You are allowing yourself to get rid of all the contaminations that you have put in the mind from a very young age, and you're allowing yourself to let all of this disintegrate, or like salt to water, let it just melt away. And this is, for me, the best spiritual approach, because from here something happens. It's from the releasing, it's from the dissolving of the mind that something happens. And that something that happens from absolute nothing. Therefore, I'd like to explain this here like religion is born out of spirituality and goes back into spirituality. Just like everything has come from nothing and everything goes back to nothing. Thank you very, very much. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Krishna, Hari Bol. Goodbye.